But I want to also say that I'm disappointed in leaders who have openly and strongly opposed the position of the governor and President Lancaster. We cannot grovel in the face of the carefully orchestrated anti-immigrant hysteria that is nothing more but a reincarnation of the know-nothings of 1854. It is wrong and foolish and contrary to the very theology found in the Bible, upon which candidates place their hands when they take office. Those of us who are descendants of slaves know this theme of scapegoating too well. We know what it's like to be told there's no room in the inn. Our would-be leaders have fallen for the same scapegoat trick that every black person who has not lost their sense of smell can recognize a mile away. Whenever the number of good jobs declines, whenever we get bogged down in an unwinnable war, whenever those in power have no realistic ideas short of borrowing trillions of dollars to start unnecessary wars about how to increase the pool of good jobs, those in power often fall back on the tried and true tactic of scapegoating a group of people, causing us to fight ourselves rather than fight the systems that are creating the problem in the first place. They turn us against each other. And normally the group that they call on us to fight is the group whose skin color is a shade darker than those in power. Those in power point the finger of blame at them for all the problems of this society. And I tell you, our people have been there, and we've done that. And we have, through the grace of God, suffered and survived through centuries of being scapegoated. We did not create a single cotton crop economy during slavery, but we've been there. We did not create the post-Civil War tobacco, furniture, textile economy, but we've been there. Our people worked hard in these once profitable but now morbid-bound exploited economies, but we were not responsible for their creation. We know how important these public colleges are for people of color who were subject to the lash and the death for just opening a book until 1865, and who were not permitted to matriculate at any white college in our public system until the 1960s. Today, as North Carolina undergoes seismic changes in its economic foundation, we will not accept the blame for the problems it suffers. We will not allow it to be put on the backs of the poorest among us, or the Latinos among us, or the Hispanics among us. And with the grace of God, we will not accept our leaders shifting the blame to other powerless workers. We need to work through our problems rather than shift the blame. We need to provide every child with a constitutional education. We need to provide health care for all. We need to ensure that workers have labor rights and working rights in this state. We must open up the end. Instead of tearing people apart, instead of saying there's no room in the inn, or no room in our schools, or no room in our community colleges, we need to bring people together and open up the inn. Instead of our leaders misusing and misspending billions of dollars on a senseless war, we must challenge them to stop that war and to spend that money on education and health care and jobs. What we ought to do is give life and hope rather than putting a lock on the doors of opportunity. We must open up the end. Let it not be said that we have made the same sinful mistake that the government of Herod made almost 2,000 years ago, when he brutalized, separated, and scapegoat and banned those people who looked different from him and who did not buy into the oppressive structure and the oppressive nature of the empire. For King Herod lost his humanity in the act of denying humanity. When he shut the doors to Jesus and to Mary and to Joseph, he shut the doors on his own humanity. He violated the imago Dei, the image of God that every person possesses. For the Bible declares that no one is illegal, for God has created every one of us, and we are all our Father's children. So let us not follow Herod, if we're going to be true to the Christmas spirit, let us follow the Christ and open up the end. Yeah. That must be our call. That must be our call. And that is why we invite all of our friends, Latino, Native American, African American, Asians, whites of all creeds and beliefs, to join us in fighting for our poor people's agenda, to come back and march on Raleigh like never before, February the 9th, 2008, at our second historic thousands on Jones Street, HK-on-J. We will again raise our vision of an anti-racist, anti-poverty, anti-war coalition, which is the only coalition that can really make substantial change if it stays together. Black, brown, and white people joining together to address our problem, not just to scream at the darkness, but to offer light, to offer a plan. Our people's agenda includes a right to a constitutional education for all children, Brother David, and we can never retreat on that. We can never stop fighting for that. If anything is illegal, it is illegal in the way that poor children don't receive the same education as other children in this state. That's illegal because the courts have said it's illegal. And also we come to march on Raleigh to protect the rights of immigrants from Latin America and other nations, and to protect the right to form a union and to engage in collective bargaining. We have not seen the changes that can happen if we stay together. But I believe if we come together, white, black, and Latino, if we refuse the demonic attempts of Herod to destroy us and keep us out, if we build our own ends and demand that we have a place in the end, and we demand that people recognize this is God's world. It doesn't belong to the Republicans or the Democrats. It doesn't belong to those who would scapegoat and divide us. This is God's world. And red, yellow, black, or white, all of our children are precious in His sight, and they deserve that we fight for them and fight for their opportunities.